The Score, the Tri-State's ultimate guide to high school sports.
Welcome to Week 8 of The Score's Football Forecast, a CPTV production. I'm Gordon Engelhardt alongside Steve Ford. This week's Game of the Week, no-brainer, matches a pair of unbeatens, Castle, Mater Dei, Castle number 6, 5A, Mater Dei number 2 and 2A, 7 o'clock Friday at Central Stadium because Mike Gable, being rigid Mike Gable,
to play Saturday.
Has to play on Friday instead of playing Saturday at the Bowl, but that's his prerogative. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, Castle beat Wrights. Another match of unbeaten snapped the 33-game SIAC regular season winning streak for the Panthers. On the other hand, Mater Dei has not played a close game all season, Steve. Their closest game was the season opener, 33-10 over Indian Creek up at Lucas Oil. Will that present a problem?
I don't think so. This Mater Dei team is one of the best teams I've seen around here, well, since maybe Wrights 2 years ago. But it's one of the best Mater Dei teams ever. These guys have it all. They've got size, they've got speed, they've got balance, they've got a sledgehammer for a running back, they've got an experienced senior quarterback who just now seems to be coming into his own. Over his last 2 games, he's like, let me do the math in my head, he's like 21 of 23 passing for 8 touchdowns and about 400 yards. I mean, Dane Mauer's been lights out. So they've got a balanced receiving core. They tackle on defense. Castle's going to have a hard time moving the ball. And Mater Dei hasn't had a hard time moving the ball on anybody. I think they'll score points. Whether or not Castle can stay with them, we'll see. I mean, Mitch Gillis has proven he is a very capable quarterback this year. The Knights are a little thin at running back. That won't help them. They do have some big play guys, and John Mark Anderson and others. They've got some speed. Can they stay with them? I don't know. Will it make any difference being at Central Stadium, basically neutral field? I don't think so. Mater Dei is going to travel for this game. I expect Castle will too. But I still think, right now, from what I've seen, I think Mater Dei is the best team around here.
I agree. We'll find out on Friday. Mater Dei was expected to be in this position. Castle had a lot of people back, but other than maybe Doug Hurt and his players, I don't know if anybody else in this area thought that they would be 7-0 right now. As we've talked before, Hurt favors the speed kills philosophy on defense, small and quick. That'll be interesting to see how they stack up against Mater Dei's huge offensive line. Mater Dei was last undefeated in 2000 when they won the 2A state championship. Castle and Wrights will present 2 huge regular season obstacles, but as Steve noted, I think you have to consider Mater Dei the favorite at this point. Bossier, 1-6 overall, 0-5 in the SIAC, will play at Wrights, 6-1, 4-1, ranked number 4 in Class 4A. Steve, on Friday, Wrights' aura of invincibility was shattered 2 weeks ago by Castle, and then last Saturday night I covered that game. They struggled mightily to beat North, 7-6. Maybe they'll get their swagger back at the expense of the Bossier Bulldogs.
Well, I think they had a little hangover after getting beat. They had been winning with smoke and mirrors. They've been winning a lot of close games. I think they expected it to happen again, and when it didn't, there was some real disappointment out on the west side with the Panthers. Bossier has Jalen Pendleton, as we know. They've got some other guys that are coming on. Bossier's played much better defensively of late. Will it be enough to stop Keandre Vaughn and the Panthers? I don't think so, but we'll see. I mean, it's, Bossier's improving. Wrights at this point is coming off its most sluggish performance of the year. I expect they'll be better. I think that's enough for them to beat Bossier.
Last Thursday, I believe, in practice, they ran bowls, which is going up and down the Wrights Bowl 4 times.
It's brutal.
Because Coach Lewis was not happy with his Panthers. Don't expect anything like that in practice next week. Harrison, 1-6 overall, 0-5 in the SIAC, will play Memorial 3-4, 2-3, Steve, at Enloe. It's not surprising that Memorial beat Central. I thought that was a close game, go either way, but surprising, it was 38-14. And Memorial, which had been scoring enough points to win a lot of football games, suddenly found their defense. Heralded freshman McKinley Warren, we've seen glimpses, flashes, and he put it all together. 4 touchdowns, 3 running, 1 receiving. Look out, Warriors.
Well, I think that's the case again. I mean, Aaron Kilbrew is a really elusive runner. He's a fair quarterback. He can throw the ball a little bit, but he is everything Harrison has right now, and that's not enough to beat a good football team. I think Memorial was really headed in the right direction. Charlie Grives got better as the years gone on. I saw him play a really solid game in the 1-point loss to North, where I thought that was basically his coming out party. I expect him to be better. I think they need to give him a little more responsibility and let him throw the ball down the field a little more, especially against a team like Harrison. I don't think the Warriors can stay with him. I think with, the emergence of McKinley Warren, I saw him against North. He had a very solid game in that game, and he's going to keep getting more and more responsibility as the season goes on. I think the Tigers, they're both cats, have just a little too much for the Warriors.
North 3-4 takes the road to Paoli, which is 6-1, 6:30 on Friday. I don't know if these teams have ever met before, Steve.
I doubt it.
It'll be interesting to see how North bounces back. I mean, Mike Wilson had to console some of the kids. They were crying because they coulda, oughta, shoulda, woulda beat the Wrights Panthers. They had their shot and they just couldn't quite do it. Now they have to go on the road, and they're saying, okay, Paoli, a little farm town. Well, I don't know how many players are coming back, but they have a nice program. 2 years ago, Mater Dei went there in the regional and got beat, so this is not a pushover.
Well, it should be. Let's put it that way. A team like North is physical, can run the ball, throw it a little. They have some game breakers in Ty Paoli and Blake Howell. They should go out there and win. But the Huskies have to be ready to play, and they've proven time and again that they're not ready every week. So will they be ready when they go over there? That's the question, I think, Friday.
Should be interesting. Central 3-4 will play Hammond Clark 3-4, another game that I don't know if they've ever met before. That's 1 o'clock.
I doubt that one too.
It's 1 o'clock Saturday up at Lawrence Central. The Memorial game was a chance for Central to climb above 500. As we've mentioned before, the brutal early season schedule, and I don't know what happened. Andy Owen said it was turnovers when they were flat as a pancake, and I don't know what happened. I'm just speechless about that. We'll see how they bounce back against Hammond Clark. It is a very unusual pairing up by the Calumet region.
Well, I've seen Central play good football. I've seen them play pretty mediocre football, and I've seen it happen in the same game. So will they be ready to play? It's a 3.5-hour bus ride up to Lawrence Central. They're playing them on a neutral field. I don't expect to have a big crowd with them or anything. The whole thing is, can Andy Ohm get them ready to play? If he can, they have the pieces to win. With Jacob Hester at quarterback, and he's got a decent receiving core. He's got some game breakers potentially, and Chris Tomlinson and Jalen Bender. But you got to get those guys the ball, and he's got to be upright. And you don't know how much these teams know about each other. This
Probably
is
not
just an enigma wrapped in a riddle, so who knows what's going to happen up there on Saturday.
Hammond Clark, of course, is unknown to us. They're 3-4 like Central. They're in the Calumet region by Chicago. They play a pretty tough schedule, maybe comparable to the SIAC. 2 3-4 teams, I would say this is a toss-up.
The Score, the Tri-State's ultimate guide to high school sports.